Welcome to Marvelicious Toys, with the hosts trapped in a podcast they never made, Arnie, Marjorie, and Justin. And special guests, Howard the Duck stars Lea Thompson and Ed Gale. We bring you news and reviews of Howard the Duck toys, statues, and more, because not all Marvel collections can be laid and hatched. They're not just toys. They're Marvelicious.
Hello and welcome to Marvelicious Toys. This is Marjorie.
I am not Arnie anymore. Yeah, I am Arnie.
And I'm more than just a little bit disturbed. Justin.
You should be Justin. I live this.
So yes, welcome to Marvelicious Toys, a special show because in August 1986, 30 years ago, George Lucas's follow-up to Return of the Jedi came out in theaters, Howard the Duck.
Yes, it did.
We're specifically talking about the Howard the Duck that George Lucas and Willard Huyck brought to the screen 30 years ago. People may know I am a Howard the Duck collector. We displayed some of my movie production pieces, the animatronic head and the duck feet in Indiana earlier this year.
Does that make you a Decophile, or what's this make you, a Howardophile? Crazy? What?
I wouldn't admit to anything that ends in ophile, Arnie.
But there's audiophile.
True.
You know, that's an okay file to be.
Sure. That might be the only one.
Yeah. Is he a duck nut?
There you go.
I don't like the thought of duck nuts. First of all, they're not even mammals. I don't think they have testes.
Not on the outside.
Now, I actually went to Howard the Duck opening weekend in 86. I remember that theater standee with the glowy cigar, and I'm like, it's the follow-up to Return of the Jedi. It says George Lucas on it. I'm going to love this.
We're the same age. That's 86. We're 5th grade, 6th grade. You were aware of Howard the Duck then? Like, this was something you were looking forward to?
85 and 86, I went to so many movies, and we had a local theater called the Esquire, and most of my movies were there, even though it was a 5-screen film. I remember seeing the trailer for The Fly at least 3 dozen times, and that movie came out in 86. So there was a giant standee of an egg with a cigar coming out of it. And that cigar tip, like, glowed orange, like he was puffing on the cigar. And it said, Howard the Duck, August 1st, from George Lucas, maker of Star Wars. So I was well aware. I'd seen that. I'm like, I love Star Wars. Star Wars is my thing. So if this is from George Lucas, oh my God, I was all prepared to just deep dive into Howard because the Star Wars toys had dried up by 86.
Okay, but I also have to point out that to Justin and to other people listening, Arnie saw movies all the time, even when he was a little kid. He was probably the only kid that was up on this stuff before the internet.
Yeah, that was kind of my bigger question was this like something you and your friends were into, or were you kind of a weirdo? Like, because I know in 86, we were still talking about Star Wars, maybe playing it on the playground and stuff, but I don't know anybody that, ever came up to me and was like, hey, there's a new George Lucas movie coming out and it's got a duck in it. Like, I wasn't aware of this movie until I think probably home video, to be honest with you.
Wow. No, all my friends were excited about the new Star Wars film. The Saga of the Ducks. I mean, we wanted a trilogy. I was there with a couple of friends opening day, and we were all really excited. I had already bought the novelization.
Of course.
Which I reviewed. So if you want an in-depth review of the novelization, it's there. But I'm surprised you didn't know. I could never call this as a kid. My parents, in like 84, I think it was, there was, with that presidential nomination, there was a Saturday Night Live thing that you could call, and my sisters called a 900 number, and then my mom got the bill and was yelling at me, and apparently we dialed the wrong number because it was to talk to an astronaut. So I was scared of 900 numbers, but Howard the Duck had a 900 number that you could call and get messages. They were called duck calls.
Oh, God.
Clever.
Greetings again, Earth friends, and thank you for calling me, Howard the Duck, star of Universal Pictures' new movie. You know, I thought it would be a good idea for you to get to know some of my film friends. For hairless apes, they're really a pretty good group. Let's start with that famous scientist, Phil Blumberg. Phil, say hello.
Nice ducky. Me, Phil. You, Howard. We be friends.
Don't mind him. He's been spending too much time in the lab lately. Phil Z, do you think the movie's going to be a smash hit?
Theoretically, yes. Unfortunately, it's never been tested.
Yeah, I see. How would you describe it?
Just everybody. I've just seen it.
Thank you, Phil. Once again, science takes another giant step forward. Let's talk to Phil's counterpart, Dr. Jennings. What's your reaction to the movie, Doc?
Something growing inside me. It's replicating and superseding all my internal organs.
Certainly an honest opinion. Tell me, what did you think the first time you met me?
The world is in blank danger.
Hey, give me a break. I'm not that excited about being on Earth either.
That goes on for about a half an hour if you're paying by the minute.
Yeah, the longer they can keep you on, the better they're doing.
So how long did you listen, Arnie?
I never called. Thank God somebody has recorded them in the day and put them on YouTube. And I remember the teaser trailer. Now, again, I was seeing a lot of movies in 86. I remember more trailers from 86 than I remember movies. But Lea Thompson there, kind of laying down and talking about the man of her dreams and then blowing on a feather.
Yeah?
You know, he's the most exciting individual I've ever met. He isn't into the whole macho thing, but he knows who he is and what he wants. Everyone thinks of him as a hero now, but I share his feelings, and he's touched my soul. And right now, I would give anything to run my fingers through his feathers.
I remember that trailer very well. And I mean, the Thomas Dolby song had a music video that even got some airplay on MTV. I love Thomas Dolby.
I love She Blinded Me with Science. I think that might be the most I know about him.
Back then, I knew a couple more songs. Today, I know Howard's stuff and, yeah, Blinded Me with Science. But in 86, I was much more up on him.
Oh, so yeah, this is Lea Thompson's follow-up to the success of Back to the Future then, right?
There was SpaceCamp in between.
Oh, okay.
Which, if you've not seen SpaceCamp, people, you need to. It's a really great movie.
So she's getting pretty big at this point.
She is, and we'll talk about that more when the interview with her a little later this show. And I remember seeing this movie, and I don't think I could tell good movies from bad back then. I think I was just learning. But I knew that it was from George Lucas, it had great special effects, it was funny, and that Dark Overlord haunted my dreams.
Really?
Yeah, listeners of Now Playing know that, 6 years later, I'm a college student doing a Rorschach test for a study, and they show me ink blots. I'm like, butterfly, teacup, Dark Overlord. They're like, wait, go back. I need to explain that. I don't see Satan.
No, it's much weirder than that.
And they're like, no, we don't allow other explanations. I'm like, but I really need to give you one.
Yeah, that thing was scary and almost a little Todd McFarlane-ish in design.
See, to me, it just looks like an iteration of the Rancor.
Oh, I can kind of see that.
Yeah, if you watch them knowing Star Wars as an adult, when you go back and look at that, you're like, it's a Rancor.
It's like the Rancor bred with a scorpion.
Yeah, I mean, kind of reminds me of something out of... I'm sure you've seen the movie Spawn, that really bad one from the late 90s.
Yeah, it kind of looks like the clown in his Violator form.
Yep.
But surprisingly, or not, this movie had very few tie-ins. There's just not that much. I'm surprised. I mean, where's my Dark Overlord Kenner toy? And Howard in bathhouse outfit? And Howard with condom? I mean, where are these toys? But while they didn't do the toys, there was some merchandise for this. I'd say, of note, the things that would probably be more than my $1 a week allowance. First of all, they actually made a wristwatch for this movie.
That's odd.
It's got the egg with the beak and the cigar on it and the Howard the Duck logo. Other than that, it's a pretty plain watch. Like, these days I'd be all cynical about it and be like, yeah, they just slap a lot of paper behind that watch. Put it in the same red casing.
It looks like a Swatch watch.
Well, that was the style at the time.
Yeah, I mean, like, right down to the rubbery, changeable wristbands and stuff.
The other thing they put out that was pricey, I know I would have had to ask my parents for a good $30, although I would have had to ask them for a Commodore 64. Activision put out the game Howard the Duck, Adventure on Volcano Island.
Ooh, was there a volcano in the movie?
No, this is a sequel.
Oh.
That you play. It starts off, you remember how games were in the 80s? Like, if you wanted to know what the hell you were actually playing, you had to read a book. All my Atari 2600 games would have like 1 page of setup.
Oh, yeah.
Well, this one's story is, where'd everybody go? They were right here a minute ago. Beverly and Phil, you were all dancing. Yeah, that's it. Dancing to the radical sounds of the cherry bombs. Does that mean they were having a three-way?
I mean, is dancing in air quotes by chance?
No, it just says you were all dancing. Yeah, that's it. Dancing. Ellipses.
Maybe Howard didn't know what it was called, or maybe he's being nice and doesn't want to...
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm thinking that dancing is a euphemism.
But now everyone's gone. And you, Howard, where are you? Why is it you seem to have floated down to some volcanic island somewhere in the middle of nowhere? Or everywhere? It's all starting to make sense. Your best friend's gone, Volcano Island, the Dark Overlord. That's it. The Dark Overlord has kidnapped Beverly and Phil and brought them to this volcanic island. Because he's hooked up on thermal energy, needs to tap into it constantly to maintain his power. You know that he knows that you're the only one who can foil his plans to take over the Earth. But he thinks he can turn you into duck soup to make the world his oyster. That seems a mixed metaphor.
It does. I'm not quite sure what they're going for there. I was about to say, that doesn't make any sense.
Seafood and poultry?
Gonna have a bad time.
What he doesn't know is you're a quack fu master, an avid ultralight flyer, and a whiz with a neutron disintegrator. So take him up on his challenge and show the Dark Overlord that his treacherous plan isn't all it's quacked up to be.
Why is this whole thing a question? Like, they're like, even the game makers aren't sure that this is the premise of the story. I mean, it could be, perhaps.
Well, this was one of those games that was available both on floppy disk and cassette.
Ooh, cassette?
Whoa. Floppies, I remember. I don't remember playing games off of cassette.
C64 had a cassette reader.
Oh, jeez.
I do remember my friends having this. You'd put in just what looked like the Howard the Duck soundtrack, and it would start spinning up and going back and forth and load a level very, very, very slowly. And then you'd play the game. Now, I have never owned a C64, but dang it, when I found out about this game, I did download an emulator and play it.
And hours and hours of fun?
Well, I've played it for hours and hours. I can't say it's been fun. The game is really hard and the controls are really difficult because there was only one fire button and then a whole bunch of combos like pre-Street Fighter without the accuracy. And depending what level you play on, you have to play on like expert or advanced in order to get to the third levels. You have to play on intermediate just to get to level 2. Otherwise, you're just stuck on level 1 if you're playing on novice. And at those harder levels, I had some trouble just on intermediate getting past some of the enemies on the first level. So I've yet to beat it. I have devoted like some hours one day doing it, and I'll get back to it someday, but I just love having Howard on a volcanic island. I mean, it makes as much sense as when Leisure Suit Larry went to a volcanic island, right?
Sure.
Is that a crossover?
That really should be, as the two of them out cruising for chicks.
Yeah, I mean, hey, they both have Hawaiian shirts. You know, they probably share a lot of the same wardrobe.
They both have strange voices.
My question is, was this game made with hopeful and wishful thinking in mind? Like, oh, we're going to have this game ready to go when the movie's a big hit. We're going to have a game tie-in. Or did this game somehow get made after the movie was already released? And they said, yeah, let's cash in on the Howard the Duck phenomena.
This came out in 86.
So they had to be working on it before.
Yeah, they thought that it was going to be the next big movie and need a tie-in game. And so, yeah, they made it back then, and Activision developed and published. And I mean, the really disappointing thing for me is that Commodore 64 had such bad sound effects, we were robbed. I didn't get like a MIDI or 8-bit rendition of the Howard the Duck theme.
Do you ever think we'd be nostalgic for MIDI?
It is. I mean, it's a very specific sound.
It is.
It can take you back to a fun time in life, or to a C64 duck game.
Now, I was buying some Howard stuff back then, though. We had a local bookstore, Chapter 1, and at their checkout counter, they had all kinds of cards and movie tie-ins, and I'd bought the Gremlins trading cards there. I'd bought Garbage Pail Kids there. And yes, I loaded up on Howard the Duck trading cards, and I chewed the hell out of that horrible pink gum.
Ooh, that stuff can make you sick, but I love the smell of it.
Yeah, I have some of the packs, and you still get the smell. I wouldn't suggest eating the gum. We know someone who did. They threw up.
Ooh.
I tried to take a bite of it, and what happens is it turns sharp like glass.
Yeah, it becomes rock candy, right?
Yeah.
The sugar crystallizes?
Yeah, but worse. Imagine chewing razor blades.
Oh, boy. Yeah, it just shatters rather than breaks.
But there is this full set, and you can get these trading cards, full sets, really inexpensively on eBay. The base cards, there were 77 of them with the information on the back. And then there was a 22 sticker set, and the backs of those formed puzzles, so you got the little large picture going on there.
Huh, sounds very much like the Star Wars cards from the back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, this was made by Topps, so they thought this was going to be the next Return of the Jedi.
They hoped.
Topps actually revisited Howard the Duck. In 2013, there was a collection of cards called Topps 75th, obviously celebrating their 75th anniversary. And one of the more common cards that they had in there was a Howard the Duck card that was a reproduction of their old card, but printed, how can I describe it? The card was landscape, but they shrunk it and put it on a portrait card and left a space at the bottom where Ed Gale, who played Howard, signed.
Oh, interesting.
Those are all over eBay for about $10.
Huh.
I also, as a kid, bought the little Howard candy heads that were just like full of this little sugar, like...
Kind of like Sweet Tarts.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's that candy that they made everything out of. Like, remember the skeleton bones that came in a coffin? You can make a skeleton. Same type of candy, I'm betting.
Yep, it was that kind of thing.
I love that this comes from a time where people weren't so uptight about everything that Howard the Duck has a cigar in his mouth.
I know. That's amazing that all these little candy heads are smoking a stogie. You know what I found even cooler is I picked up some bubblegum cigars with Howard the Duck on them. And I thought that maybe like the candy heads, they sold the cigars. And then I got doing research. Those were actually just given out at the premiere of the movie. And that's why it's just a candy gum cigar with what looks like, if we were doing it today, we'd have printed labels on our inkjet and slapped them around in a cigar.
Nice.
And it's like they were doing the birth thing. They say it's a duck.
Nice.
And have the Howard logo.
Did they come in both pink and blue?
Pink, blue, and strangely yellow.
I hope, just in case you wanted to buy them and they had a kid that they weren't sure.
Yeah, but those weren't ever mass retail, but we'd marveled many times. Remember the days when you could buy candy cigarettes and candy cigars?
Yeah.
Then something else I did not know they made. Viewmaster slides. A 3-disc Viewmaster set for Howard the movie.
The days of Viewmaster. Those were great. And it was pretty impressive 3D for back in the day. Like, you could actually get a little depth of field there.
Yeah, it still is. But primarily where you could collect this is through books. Of course, there was the novelization I mentioned. There was a storybook with the pictures in it and, the telling the story very briefly. There was a 3-issue Marvel Comics adaptation. Makes perfect sense. The first Marvel Comics movie.
Nice.
And then something, I'll just put it out there. If anybody has this, I'm desperately seeking it. Rainbow put out a Howard the Duck read-along book and tape.
All right.
I have listened to it on YouTube, and it needs to be heard to be believed.
Really?
Here's a clip of it. I've edited it down a bit. It's just some from the opening.
The Rainbow Theater presents Howard the Duck? You can read along with me in your book. When you hear this, turn the page. Let's begin now. The universe is a vast span of limitless space, punctuated by countless worlds, where every possible reality exists. Reality on any one world is mere fantasy on all others. Here, all is real, and all is illusion. In the beginning was Howard the Duck. Screeching like a banshee, he plummeted down towards the lights of a strange city. Down and down he went, and finally landed with a bump in a dark and dingy alley. In this alley, there was a rock club, and inside the club, an all-girl group called Cherry Bomb had just finished performing. Beverly Switzler, the lead singer with Cherry Bomb, was just coming out into the alley. Without noticing Howard, she began to walk towards the main street, and then she stopped dead in her tracks. Two dark figures stood in the shadows, blocking her path.
Say, you sing real good, baby.
Yeah, and you look real good, too.
Thanks. Now how about getting out of my way?
And what's your hurry? Why don't we have our own private show right here?
No! Stay away! Help! Somebody help me!
Beverly's cries stirred something deep within Howard's feathered breast. Suddenly, as the punks wrestled Beverly to the pavement, he let out a chilling yell.
Hi-ya! On my planet, we never say die. We say kill.
Out leapt an enraged Howard, posed in the traditional fighting stance of a master of the duck world martial art of quack fu.
Yeah. So, if you want to hear the rest of it, you can go to YouTube. I want it more for the book than for the audio. It actually is really painful to listen to with that New England, New Jersey accent he has going. And then, of course, there's the soundtrack, which it wasn't until just a couple years ago I realized how much they went into that soundtrack. Of course, back then, I had the cassette. I was a cassette listener because I could always put it in my Walkman. I didn't know until, honestly, the 2000s that there was a record player no bigger than a man's shoe that was intended that you could take a record with you somewhere.
Mr. Disc.
Yes. When they had Starcade reruns back in the aughts is when I learned about that.
Luckily, you didn't invest in that technology.
But there was the vinyl, and it came with a fold-out poster and a sticker on the front that declared it as such. There was the 45 RPM Cherry Bomb single with Howard the Duck and Don't Turn Away, the slow ballad that Beverly sings after Howard and she kind of break up. That was the B-side. Kind of a bad choice. I would have gone with Hunger City. They went with Don't Turn Away. But then what I didn't know is there was a mega mix 12-inch expanded single version of Howard the Duck. And that's another full-sized LP. And then I have a CD. People say a CD of this was produced. Now I looked, CDs started being made mass retail in 82. The first album to sell 1 million in CD was Dire Straits' Brothers in Arms in 85. So they could have put this out on CD. They also could have re-released it. I know Beverly Hills Cop was re-released in CD, but I have one that claims to be original. My real feeling is every copy I bought, and I've bought like 4, is a bootleg.
Now, like a bootleg with actual like screen printed information on the disc? Who would go to that length for Howard the Duck CD?
Well, I can't tell if it's screen printed or if like they inkjet printed directly on the disc. I don't know. This was in the early 2000s before that was pretty common. But here's the thing, is it isn't screen printed. That's what makes me suspicious, is it isn't a silver disc with words. It's a picture, which you didn't really do back then.
No. Like even more than single color disc printing didn't come around until the late 80s. Like, that's when they started doing maybe black and maybe a red line.
Yeah.
But like picture discs, nope, that was way later.
So I'm always on the lookout for that on CD. Even the bootlegs I buy because they claim to be real go for $80 to $100. But I'm still researching if that actually exists or if I'm chasing a phantom.
Could be chasing a duck.
Now, there were a couple tracks of John Barry's score on there, but very few people know about this. I didn't know until Michael Whitstock, who we know through Star Wars collecting and is another massive Howard the Duck collector, told me in 1999, a CD soundtrack was put out to The Black Hole. Remember that movie?
Oh, yeah. Some cool collectibles in my want list there from that movie.
I've never seen it.
Oh, really?
Really?
Oh, man. It's not a great movie, but there were some cool toys. It was a Disney thing.
Well, they actually re-released that soundtrack, and as bonus tracks is the complete Howard the Duck score, officially re-released. That thing is hard to find, but I did eventually track one down on eBay that I know is real.
Very nice.
Music you could never get before. And then, I mean, there was a promotional push. There were a lot of magazines. There's even more Japanese ones that sometimes turn up. One of them was a Japanese magazine with a fold-out center poster that has Cherry Bomb on stage, and then some, like, it just looks like pictures of the Dark Overlord and other shots from the movie. Almost like if you were just putting, like, Kodak pictures on your mirror. That's how they're like arranged around the border.
You went way out of your way to not say centerfold. Is it a sexy picture that folds out at the center of that magazine?
No, sadly, it isn't the greatest picture of anything. I got two and then bled under my thumbnail to carefully pry the staples out and remove the poster and put the staples back and unfold it because I was going to have Lea Thompson sign it at Wizard World, and I looked, I'm like, nah.
All that work for nothing.
But Howard was featured in Rolling Stone, a couple issues of Starlog, Bantha Tracks, the Lucasfilm fan magazine.
But what else were they talking about in 86 in Bantha Tracks?
The Ewok movies.
Oh, wow.
The TV Ewok movies.
So they were probably pretty excited to be talking about Howard then.
And the weirdest one for me, Howard the Duck had a spotlight article in American Cinematographer movie magazine. Like, you're thinking the great cinematographers, Lawrence of Arabia, 2001, Apocalypse Now, Howard the Duck.
This week on Masterpiece Theater. That's still a current publication.
Yeah, it is. And I'm surprised, or not, that so many mint condition issues keep showing up on eBay.
At some point, the surprise of the availability of Howard items has to stop being a thing with you. Like, at some point, you're going to have to be like, yeah, I expected to be able to find that. You can't be surprised every time, you know?
But I wasn't surprised by Starlog. I wasn't surprised by Rolling Stone. But American Cinematographer?
Oh, no, the surprising that it happened. Surprising that you can find it? Nah.
They also did a poster magazine. Remember when those were the thing?
Kinda.
You'd get these magazine sized, you'd have to take out the staples, or when I was younger, rip them through the staples, and a couple of other odd printing things. The Howard the Duck calendar.
I thought it was really cool, but I guess that makes sense because remember they used to put out all kinds of stuff like that for movies back then.
They still kind of do. I mean, that's the reason the calendar shop opens from November to January. But that was cool because it had some behind the scenes, like press photos mixed in with shots from the movie, and once every 7 years I can hang it up and it's accurate.
That's true.
And Howard the Duck greeting cards.
Yeah, that is absolutely crazy.
It's just tremendous. They even made greeting cards for Howard the Duck. No toys, but greeting cards. Like, one of them has a picture of Howard and Beverly snuggling. It was one of the press photos. It's not actually from the movie. And it has the caption, "We're an odd couple."
I think these are great. Again, the puns are off the charts with these.
Another rare item that I've never been able to find, but I will. They made a child's Halloween costume for this. Now that makes perfect sense. This comes out in August. You start selling your costumes in September. It's one of those plastic masks that you put on with the rubber band around your head, and then you have like the garbage bag suit.
They were still doing those in 86?
Oh yeah.
All right. I would like to see that. Do you have pictures of that?
I don't have anything other than a magazine ad for it. But my memory is that it came in a small box, and it had like a red and white, like almost Topps Big Boy outfit, and it was one of those masks that had the giant eye holes so that you weren't hit by oncoming vehicles.
Yeah, I was just wondering, like, if it's, the mask is like straight on, or maybe they tried to do like a side angle, the way Howard always is looking to the side.
Straight on with a really small beak.
Okay.
It's more like a ridge instead of a full-on beak.
So he could look like he just has really weird lips.
Yeah. But that outfit, I think, based upon the comic ad I saw, was by Morris. But then there is a mask out there that's a bit higher quality. Don Post put one of those out.
Oh.
And with that, we have covered every Howard the Duck officially released tie-in product that I know of.
Wow.
It did not get the merchandising push it so richly deserved, although it didn't do so well in the box office, so perhaps it's for the best. But come on, no Hardy's tie-in like they did with Return of the Jedi and Gremlins with the 45 RPM records and the books?
Yeah, some Howard the Duck glassware from your favorite fast food restaurant.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. What was this rated back in the day? Was it a PG, a PG-13?
PG-13 did exist. I had to look that up. Red Dawn was like the first major motion picture to be rated PG-13. But somehow, bathhouse and all, this got a PG rating.
Yeah, so that means that knowing George Lucas and how he likes to do stuff for kids, his idea was that this is a good kids movie. I'm really surprised that there was no push for action figures or anything like that.
You think it's a kid's movie even with the duck boobs and the duck sex and play duck?
I don't necessarily think that, but that doesn't mean that George Lucas didn't think that.
George.
I mean, there were Willow action figures, and that's not necessarily a straight-up kids movie.
Yeah, you would think that in the time, given the, just ridiculous success of Star Wars action figures and setting
seriously,
the stage.
I'm thinking that too. I mean, why wouldn't they do that unless they read the script?
Maybe it was a little easier to sell toys for mythical religious Jedi than it is a duck suit.
Topps bought into it, but they seem to be the only ones.
I'm convinced that Topps is easy to do. Those trading cards aren't expensive.
Yeah, printing a card isn't that hard. And I can see about this time with, Star Wars and sales of Star Wars figures being pretty much dead in 86. Kenner maybe not wanting to jump in on this, but there had to be other toy companies that were upset that they missed the Star Wars boat and wanted to maybe take a stab at action figures from this movie. I would have thought maybe Mattel would have been chomping at the bit to work with a George Lucas property.
Well, again, it's probably best for their shareholders they didn't. But first, we're going to talk to Ed Gale, who was the actor inside the duck suit. Welcome to the show, sir.
Well, thank you, Arnie. Great to be here.
Now, you've got quite a few iconic roles in your resume. I mean, you were the body double for Chucky in the first Child's Play. You were Station in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, a personal favorite of mine. And, of course, Howard the Duck. So when you look back over all the work you've done, where does Howard rank for you?
Well, Howard was my very first anything. My very first audition, my very first rejection, my very first callback, and then my, I believe, second rejection, and et cetera, which eventually led to booking the role. And without sounding like a cliche, the rest was history. And so at that, there's nothing to compare Howard to at that time, because I had no experience.
When you were auditioning, had you ever heard of the comic Howard the Duck or anything in relation?
I didn't. I was not even a comic book person, and you just lost half your listenership. But it's ironic with Hollywood. Almost every actor will tell you their first role, they didn't know who, so-and-so. It was directed by, Scorsese or whatever. Never heard of him. It's always that way, It's always stuff that you've never heard of or you're not into. Your first film was horror and you're not into horror. Your first film was this and you're not into that. And so it's always leaves you in a panic-stricken mode to deal with the unknown. And so, no, I had no idea. Of course, I went shopping, and the Howard the Duck comics, although, they existed, they were popular in the 70s. They were still in some of the older comic book shops, and the prices have not went through the roof yet. And so I was able to get all of the original Howard the Ducks, from the 70s, not the reprints in the 80s. And I read the comics and just got an idea of his cockiness and cantankerous, and all I was doing is I was reading about myself. Because I'm a smart mouth, smart aleck, quick wit, there was nothing different between, him and I on the surface.
Yeah, I read in an interview, Holly Robinson Pete described you as fun, flirtatious, and cool, and that you had an NC-17 sense of humor.
Yes. Holly was wonderful, and I always got a kick out of the casting because Holly was trying to become a singer, and Lea, of course, trying to be an actress. And Lea was cast singing, and Holly was cast in acting, and she'd done so much acting afterwards.
Yeah. So you didn't know Howard before the job, but...
No, we never met. We never met, Arnie, I'd never met him. He was living in Hollywood. I was living in Michigan.
But you knew of Star Wars.
Yeah, that was that unknown guy. What was it, George Lucas?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. He did a couple things. He's a good guy.
So was it intimidating to jump into a George Lucas, his first production after Return of the Jedi?
Oh, it was phenomenal. The hardest thing that my agent or my manager, had to, get through my head is that I belong there. I'm one of them. I'm in the cast. I'm in the movie. Because it's like, I don't deserve to be here. This is Lea Thompson, Back to the Future. This is Jeffrey Jones, Amadeus. This is Holly Robinson, at that time, Holly Robinson. No, Holly Robinson Pete. Tim Robbins, Top Gun. I mean, Thomas Dolby. And the on and on and on. And it was very intimidating. I just never felt that I didn't deserve to be there. These are real actors,
And I've heard multiple stories about the number of actors who portrayed Howard in the suit. And as I understand it, there were a number of young children, but by the end it was you and one other actor?
There was never young children.
Okay.
And the answer to your question is and always was one. Me. The producer and director, Willard Hike and Gloria Katz, at that time were doing anything and everything to discredit me. They didn't want anyone to know who Howard the Duck was. They wanted Howard to be just a character, that it was his own. It was Howard the Duck, the movie, not Howard the Duck, the little person, in a costume movie. And if you read the credits, it said Howard T. Duck, Ed Gale. That was me. And then Howard the Duck, Tim Rose, puppeteer. Steve Sleep, deceased puppeteer. Peter Baird, his father, very famous puppeteer. So Peter Baird was a puppeteer as well for Howard the Duck. Lisa Sturz, puppeteer. Mary Wells, puppeteer. Jordan Prentice, photo double. And those are all your names. They've already released the DVD, and then they just this year they did the Blu-ray. And if you watch the commentary for the first time, and the DVD was 25 years, and that was the first time that the director and the producer used my name and praised me for helping them make their film. And it took them 25 years to realize that I was a significant part of their movie, and I appreciate it. I don't have the letter anymore. I think I ripped it up. I was so angry. I was cordially uninvited to the premiere of Howard the Duck. so I wasn't allowed to go. So again, part of the producers and the writers' way of getting back because I got my name on the front of the credits, which they did not want. They wanted to bury my name. So that's why they did it. On the end credits, they put 8 names to make people think there were 8 people in the costume.
So Jordan, he was the one doing like a lot of the stills and stuff?
He would do stills in the background. He was originally cast to be Howard the Duck. He was 12 years old. And they loved his cute little walk. Again, no acting experience, either. Or if he did, you'd never know it. It got to be to where the editor would say they can't use, the editor's having a hard time cutting between myself, Jordan, and the puppet. They actually had a puppet for a few weeks, and that had to go, because the puppet was so stiff and jerky, and it just had to go. But they still used the puppeteers, of course, to operate my face.
Right.
Which is animatronic eyes, eyelids, eyeballs, eyebrows, beak, open, close, beak curl to give it sort of lips-like. And then the infamous feather standing up. That was done because we didn't have what all these kids have today as CGI. Everything was what we call practical. It was something that you could physically touch. And so all of the feathers is a cable, or it was a remote control servo motor, which is what you would find in your remote control cars, if that is even a thing anymore. So there's a lot of words that your younger audience may not have, just not have been exposed to. And it's practical costumes that we used. And, you knocked a guy through the wall, he went through the wall. And now the wall can be a piece of paper, and then they can fix that with a computer.
There were so many ducks on Duck World. Were you only Howard, or were you also some of the others?
Oh my goodness, I played the jogging duck. I played Crazy Webby on the television. I played the jock itch. I think I was the one sitting down. I don't remember if I was sitting down with jock itch or I was the other one that had the product, Jock Blaster or something. And then the game show, Jordan played the winner, the girl who just kept, screaming and jumping up and down. And I played the host with the microphone. And, so I did a lot of, and I went through all the walls, of course, when the chair broke through the walls. And Debbie Lee played the naked duck with the duck boobies that every 12-year-old noticed.
Yeah, it was a little shocking to me as young as I was, but it was great.
To me, that's part of what made the movie a mess, was there was just too many ideas. Was it a horror movie? Was it a love story? Was it a musical? It was just too many ideas. It was disjointed and unfocused. But nonetheless, it lasted the test of time, so.
When a lot of the actors mentioned that all the attention was on you, on Howard, while filming because of the animatronics, the technical work, and everything. So, given that this was your first anything, what was it like to be the center of attention? Did that help you to feel like you were part of the team?
Well, it wasn't the kind of attention that you would think, obviously, like Lea Thompson may have had her own personal assistant, because when you're working on a film, you can't answer your own phone. You can't, take care of your own mail. There's a lot of things you can't do when you're working 14, 15 hours a day. And so they had the star, attention. And I had the maintenance attention. I had people to glue the feathers on if any fell off, during, falling down or running or doing whatever. Constant painting if the paint cracked on the beak as it moved. Constant, wiping off the wardrobe, like a little child, zipping me up, rolling up my sleeves. And, everything has to look exactly the same. And if my sleeve comes unrolled, it won't match. And a lot of people like to watch movies and look just for the bloopers. And it's kind of sad to have a life that you do nothing but look for other people's mistakes instead of watching the movie and enjoying it for what it is,
Yeah.
They're looking for the mistakes, and pretty soon they're 40 years old in their mother's basement looking at other people's mistakes, and they're missing their own. But anyway, I digress. But yeah, I had a whole team, and then there was the heat factor, so they had to keep me cool, and the food factor because they never took the costume off for lunch breaks or anything, and I lost like 30 pounds in 30 days.
Ooh.
I'm sorry, 11 pounds in 30 days. I weighed 66 pounds and I went down to 55.
Were you able to give a performance, did you think, or was it all technical kind of work?
Oh no, it was definitely technical performance, not, to coin a phrase, because technically I had to stop at a specific point, look in a certain direction, do things, specifically and technically. But yet I had to give a performance because Howard had to look like a duck, alive, living, breathing, cigar smoking, ass slapping, duck that Howard was. And when the voice was actually during shooting was Tim Rose, the lead puppeteer, because he operated the mouth, he could speak through a microphone, and they had a little speaker off the side so the actors could hear. They tried me doing the dialogue at first, and that went to hell really fast. And so they had Tim's voice box that followed me, and Tim was able to do things. But if Howard had to say, yo, what's up? The whole body had to say, yo, what's up?
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, hi, and then raise your hand. No, it's hi with the hand. The eyebrows go up when you say what? The head goes back, the shoulders go up. You have to isolate each individual muscle that reacts to every action. And then we had to make that happen. And that's how a 10-week movie shoot becomes 10 months.
Did they actually drop you in water then in like the bathhouse scene? Did the costume get wet, or was that one of the puppet scenes?
Oh no, that was me, and that's when they realized it wasn't waterproof. And, a $1.2 million costume shot to hell. And at $50,000 per head, we used 19 different heads because of different, there was a time I was laying on my back on the floor, and Jeffrey Jones was to step over me, and he wears like a size 23 shoe, I don't know. And he stepped over me and caught his foot on the beak, and, we need another head now. And I would stop at the wrong place, turn real fast, and it's a wall, Jerry Lewis style, and there's another head. And so, yeah. And then also the wear and tear, of having to put mud on it for this scene, or the mud bath, that's gone. That costume is gone, or that head. A lot of the time, very, very rarely we would use a non-motorized head, but it would have to be a really quick flyby, really quick scene. Otherwise, you would notice,
Yeah.
So it was very expensive. Dozens and dozens of pairs of feet, dozens of pairs of hands, which I own the first pair that I ever wore. I still have that. And I have the jacket, and I have certain, articles that I managed to keep at least something from every film I've ever done. I've been very fortunate to do that.
As a lot of our listeners are collectors, can you share with us some of the items you do have, Howard the Duck? Did you collect any of, like, the tie-in merchandise?
No, I only had stuff from the set that I worked on. I never cared for I think I had a pair of bedtime slippers. They made Howard the Duck slippers, and someone gave them to me as a gift. But tie-in merchandise, no. And they gave me a lucite, clear, unbreakable glass, egg-shaped, with one of Howard's feathers in it.
And you were telling me before we started recording, if I can bring this up, you actually have one of Howard's duck condoms?
Well, it was a promo thing.
Okay.
It was, I believe, at the screening, at the premiere of the screening or whatever, they had, like, giveaway bags. And they had, like a Howard the Duck nose with a elastic, almost like a clown nose.
Mm-hmm.
Except it was a Howard the Duck beak that everybody could wear instead of a party hat. You had a party nose. And it had the playbill, about the movie and the credits and whatever snapshots. I believe there was a calendar in there Howard the Duck calendar. And then there was a Howard the Duck condom, which is an actual, because for whatever reason or not, I thought it was probably the most ridiculous part in the movie was to have an actual condom in his wallet, opened and ready to go. I mean, it's like there was no package. Who the hell does that?
When I saw this movie when I was 11, I thought that was fine.
Yeah, but that's how you make a really, really, really good movie bad, is you do something stupid like that. I mean, a miniature condom, fine, but leave it in the package. I mean, who the hell carries a condom, out of the package? And these were the actual Howard the Duck. It looked like a miniature version of the poster.
Okay.
So it couldn't have been in the movie, because why would Howard the Duck be carrying a Howard the Duck condom, That's something only Mel Brooks could do.
Speaking of that, I did have a question, again, about the performance with that bedroom scene. I have always read that scene as like Beverly was calling Howard's bluff with that, but...
Yeah, this is why the only thing that's ever upset me was, to me, it's like, what type, and like Bill Cosby said, and you have to be a special kind of stupid. What would watch, or did watch Howard the Duck and said the sex scene grossed him out, or the sex scene traumatized him as a child? I was in the movie, and I didn't do a sex scene, so I don't know what sex scene you saw. But Howard was, if you watch the movie and stop worrying about what little mistakes can you see, what little bit this can you watch, and just watch the movie and enjoy it. Well, Beverly was calling, and you're the first person to ever actually say this, and which I've been saying for 30 years. Beverly was merely calling his bluff when he said, well, you never know, you could find happiness in the animal kingdom. And she's like, looked right at the camera with one of these goofy eyebrow raises, like, oh, I'm going to play this for what it's worth, And so she says, oh, really? Let's try it. And of course, Howard's like, no, I can't, no, et cetera, et cetera. And so at what part does that lead to be sex? Now, another, decision on the director's part, was for her to kiss him on the cheek, good night, but they needed a silhouette, when the other doctors came in the room.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was too slow. It looked too erotic. She was, standing on her hands and knees over the top of him instead of just a quick peck on the cheek, good night, and his feathers raise up. That's his way of getting a boner, I guess. The head feathers raise up. I don't know. But they shot it, horribly to make it look like a porn. And, but I don't know. People watch it and they said they had sex, or it was a sex scene. And, it just, that part. I love my fans. I love everybody who, loves my work. Of course, you have to love them back, because without them, you wouldn't be where you are. I always do my live video every Sunday on Facebook, blah, blah, blah. But I can't deal with, the idiots who come up with things that they never even, I like, did you watch the movie? What the hell movie were you watching?
Well, sir, looking back, are you proud of the work that you've done with Howard the Duck?
Oh, most definitely. I remember in the early days when we still had, paper resumes and black and white, headshots, and I would carry it around to the different auditions, and people would say, other actors, of course, would say, why do you have Howard the Duck, on your resume? I said, because I played Howard the Duck. And they said, well, I know that, but why would you put on your resume? I said, it was my first film. It made me who I am today, and it got me all of the work, and I bought my first of 3 houses. So I did okay with Howard, and definitely Howard will always hold a special place in my heart. And if I ever get to the point to where I sell all of my memorabilia, and lighten the load, because you got so much junk in the house, I would never sell any of my Howard stuff.
All right. Well, sir, thank you so much for your time. This has been very enjoyable for me to hear these stories firsthand like this, and to just talk to somebody who also appreciates the film in addition to having worked on it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you remembering me and remembering who Howard the Duck is or was. Thanks to you and Marjorie both, and we will definitely stay in touch.
Oh man, Arnie, that's got to be killing you that he's got a Howard the Duck official condom.
I know, I can't find anything about it online, and I thought when he first said it, we were talking before the interview, I thought he had actually the prop condom from the film that Beverly pulls out of his wallet.
The number one thing I remember from that movie, to be honest with you. If I'm being perfectly honest.
Not the duck boobs.
Not the Dark Overlord?
Nope. Duck condom. First thing that always comes to my mind. And I don't know why. Because I think maybe I thought, hey, I could probably make one of those. Just cut up like a surgical glove and roll it up. And there you go.
You're right. But yeah, that kind of thing that he's talking about, the movie production items, the cast and crew items, those are some of the easier things to collect because they were given out to everyone who worked on them. And I mean, there's the jacket that Lea Thompson wore recently. When she was doing Dancing with the Stars, she did a photo shoot in like a dancer's leotard in that jacket.
Oh, and that pose is very, very becoming.
I just want to say that she actually got more beautiful than she was when she was younger. She is amazing looking in person.
My favorite item, though, isn't the jacket, but every so often some of these pop up on eBay for under $100. They made a lucite Howard the Duck egg for the cast and crew, and then it has a single duck feather inside the egg.
Oh, that's cool.
It's really cool looking.
But they had caps and shirts, and of course, copies of the script were handed out to everybody, and if you can find them, movie props and VHS tapes of behind-the-scenes stuff, a lot of that's going around. But don't collect that, please, because I don't need any competition. There have been quite a few home video releases of this. Of course, in the 80s, they put it out on VHS and Betamax.
Betamax.
I just last week found, finally, an unopened, still shrink-wrapped, never been played VHS copy from back then.
That's cool.
The Betamax, the hunt is still going.
There was a lot less Betamax households, so that would mean a lot less of those would have been sold.
Especially by 86. In 82, the war was on.
Right, 86, the war was over, and if you still had Betamax, sorry, pal.
It was like Germany between World War I and World War II. It was just kind of limping along.
Even though Betamax was a superior format, it lost the war.
Ah, but the truly superior format, Laserdisc.
Oh, yes.
And this had a US release and an awesome Japanese Laserdisc release. I love the cover for that with all the Japanese characters all over it. It is gorgeous.
Did they ever do a Criterion Collection Laserdisc for Howard the Duck?
Sadly, no. The closest we got is the DVD that came out in 2009. I was so happy when this got a DVD release. I thought it would never come out on DVD. I had watched it probably over 100 times on VHS. I was one of those kids who would tape movies off of rented tapes. And that's when VHSs cost $110, otherwise known as 110 weeks of my allowance. So I had to. And I just watched that all the time. And when it came out on DVD, I was at Best Buy that day. And I don't know why I was thinking, first of all, this was about 10 years ago. So I was still buying discs at Best Buy and physically going to a store instead of having Amazon deliver them to me. But second of all, I don't know why I thought there'd be a mad rush for Howard the Duck DVDs that I had to be there at opening on Tuesday. When I got there, I'm the only one.
A bit of overkill there.
Well, that was a special edition DVD. And it had the trailers, and it had a looking back kind of retrospective for it, for its 23rd anniversary. Then in 2013, it came out on Blu-ray overseas. Of course, I found out about this when there was a steelbook, and I needed that steelbook, and I did get one, the German steelbook, and it is the coolest thing, because in addition to having the egg on the front, right, and it's the international release, so they could still have a cigar on it.
Oh, yeah, they took the cigar off at some point, huh?
They took the cigar off for the American release in 2009, the DVD. He doesn't have a cigar. What he has is, it's still the bill coming out, but no cigar, and then they added duck feet coming out from the bottom of the egg. So they just completely redid that art, and we're like, well, a bill isn't enough. If you can't have a cigar, feet?
How can you take the cigar away from Howard? That's like his iconic thing.
And Nick Fury's and Wolverine's.
Yeah.
But the back of the steelbook is every bit as cool as the front. I couldn't believe it. They took scenes from the movie and printed them like a comic book with thought bubbles and panels, and in the steelbook, it looked kind of cel-shaded.
I kind of remember talking about this when you got it. That sounds very familiar. I think we talked a little bit about this when you finally did get the auction shipped to you.
And then I did find a French Blu-ray that is that exact same art, but not steelbook. So I was actually able to see the comic art a lot better than I could on the reflective steelbook.
Oh, yeah.
And then, unbelievably, earlier this year, just in time for the 30th anniversary, Howard the Duck on Blu-ray here in the States.
Woohoo!
And for that, they used the poster art of him reading the Rolling Egg magazine with Beverly or Lea Thompson on the cover. That was the release poster, whereas the bill with the cigar was the teaser.
Okay. So it feels a little bit more movie-ish. And is that just readily available? Is that something I could run down to Best Buy and pick up now? Or is that becoming something of a task to find?
You still buy movies at Best Buy?
You know, when I'm there picking up my internet orders.
It's right now 47% off at Amazon for $7.88.
Well, all right.
And it has the special edition DVD features, the look back at Howard the Duck, releasing the duck, and then 4 vintage featurettes, and the teaser trailers.
Nice.
And really, yeah, it's theater items that are still worth going for. At movie premieres, they also handed out stickers to people that say the duck stops here, or duck, Howard's coming.
The puns on this are like out of control.
That was all George Lucas is doing. He had like half an idea for a script, but he had a ton of puns he had to get out.
There were a lot of posters for this released.
There are a lot of posters. This is just insane, the number of posters for this movie. Was this like the dawn of movie posters or something at this time?
No, I think it's just because we have expanded our horizons. In the States, there was the teaser poster with the egg and the cigar. And then there was another teaser poster that's even more inappropriate. It's a Budweiser can. They actually got Budweiser as like a product tie-in. And one of Howard's hands is around the bud, and really, shouldn't it be Beakweiser or something?
It should be, yes.
The other hand is holding a burned-down cigar, and the tagline is, all he wants is a good beer, a cigar, and a one-way ticket home.
Oh, I wonder which way that cross-promotion went. Did Budweiser pay to be a part of that, or did Howard the Duck pay to have Budweiser look like they're sponsoring this whole fiasco?
Then the release poster. Remember the days where you had to actually buy a ticket to see the monster? You couldn't see E.T. in the trailers or the poster, and you couldn't see Jaws. Nowadays, they're going to show you the Jurassic Park dinosaurs in the trailer and be like, look what we made, come see it. But back then, even the release poster just teased Howard with the top of his head and sunglasses and seeing his feet as he read Rolling Egg magazine.
Yeah.
But some of the international posters are actually really awesome. There's a character focus poster that comes vertically as well as horizontally that has like the biggest focus of it is Jeffrey Jones, the Dark Overlord. It's like got his face dead center. It's got Beverly and Phil as they're being electrocuted by him. And then in the very middle is the semi-truck. Now, yes, the Dark Overlord drove one, but it makes me think of another 1986 movie, Maximum Overdrive.
Oh, you know, there's like in some countries, like I think Japan or China maybe even is one of them, where they get American movies and they pay somebody else to like draw what the movie's about, so they're not totally bootlegging. And this looks like what's happened here. Like somebody like just saw clips of the movie and drew a new poster for it. Because this is not representative of what actually happens in the movie.
The poster that I found the coolest, though, was their Eastern European, like German and Russian release poster. This is what looks like bootleg art. It looks honestly like Ace Duck from Disney or whoever the pilot duck was from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You've got this tough-ass looking duck with what looks like a flight scarf around his neck.
Yeah, very, very much pop art inspired.
And just, it says huge letters, Kaxor, Howard. I apologize for mispronouncing Kaxor, but I just...
I don't know how else you'd say it.
I don't know. Kazor? Kakor? I don't know.
And that translates to Drake, like a male duck, a Drake. Right. So it's Drake Howard instead of Howard the Duck.
Howard the Drake. Arnie, this would actually be kind of a cool tattoo. If you ever wanted a Howard tattoo.
If I got one, I'd get the egg with the cigar.
Yeah, but everybody has that, right?
No, I don't think they do, Justin.
What I also like is in the UK, and you still see this to this day on the DVD releases, it was called Howard, a New Breed of Hero.
Okay.
I don't know why he's just not a duck.
And you don't breed ducks, historically.
But he is a breed of animal.
Right, like, I mean, why not? He's a bird of a different feather or something that actually makes sense as a pun. Like, why bring breeding into this? I don't...
Maybe it's the duck sex?
Oh, there you go. He did breed with... Well, maybe he did, I don't know.
Perhaps they think that's what the movie is about.
Perhaps they're right.
Yeah, there's a little bit of porn going on, maybe, they think.
Well, I actually got to talk to Lea Thompson about Howard the Duck in an exclusive interview. It turns out she was rather impressed when I met her in Indianapolis and had that jacket and all those other movie items. She doesn't really do interviews with podcasts and things. And we were able to talk to her. So here is her looking back at 30 years ago, Howard the Duck. Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So this year is actually the 30th anniversary of two of your films. We got both Howard the Duck and SpaceCamp.
I know. Crazy, huh?
You played very different characters in those two. In SpaceCamp, you were going much younger, very teenage with the theme of that movie. In Howard, you were much more grown up. And of course, in Back to the Future, the year before, you did both. How was that transition for you as an actress?
It was fun. I mean, it's always fun to... try to show off by doing really different characters. And, and it's also fun because both of those movies, SpaceCamp and Howard the Duck, took 6 months to shoot. So it's really, when you're doing a character for a long time, you kind of get sick of it. And so it's really fun to shift and do something else. I mean, the character I played in SpaceCamp was pretty much the most kind of, I don't want to say boring, but straight character I've ever played. So, and after playing, a girl in love with a duck, it was just kind of fun to really change it up.
So was SpaceCamp filmed after Howard?
No, before, because I remember, I did think I did Back to the Future, then SpaceCamp, and then Howard the Duck. Yeah, because I remember when I was shooting Howard the Duck is when I found out that the space shuttle blew up. And because I'd felt so connected to the whole space program. I mean, it affected everybody, but it also affected me in a different way because I'd been living in the space shuttle, for 6 months. We'd been in a mock-up and we'd met a lot of astronauts, not the ones that were in it that exploded, but it really hit home. I was super, super duper sad.
Yeah, I can imagine, and I know that kind of was a shadow over that film when it did come out.
Yes, for sure. That was not a good thing. And I also remember I got in really big trouble because I made a quip. You just never know. Comedy's so hard, but I was like, when I was doing the publicity for Howard the Duck, they asked me something about, the space shuttle, and I was really sad. But then I said, well, hopefully there won't be a giant duck disaster before Howard the Duck. And I got in big trouble for saying that. You never know. I mean, you never know what you're going to say that's going to be taken, especially in print. Anyway.
So, I was wondering, which did take longer? I mean, you did Back to the Future, then you did Howard. Was it Lorraine's middle-aged makeup or Beverly's hair?
Beverly's hair was a complete nightmare. I don't know why I didn't put my foot down and say, give me a wig. But, yeah, it took over an hour every day. And I don't even know how I had any hair left on my head, because it would like sizzle and steam as each crimp was put into my hair. It was awful. It really took a long time. I was really exhausted when I did that movie, because it was like almost 2 hours in hair and makeup. So I think it was about the same as the Old Age. Some of the Old Age took 3 hours.
Between, the special effects in Back to the Future, and you worked more with the effects on the sequels, how did Willard Huyck's effects work compared to Robert Zemeckis's?
Bob Zemeckis and Willard Huyck, they're not comparable. I mean, Bob Zemeckis was a special effects genius. I mean, obviously he went on to run that other. He's a great director, and his understanding of how to make all that stuff happen was as good as the actual effects guys, if not better. So it was really fascinating, and it was really fascinating watching Bob Zemeckis think through things. Being a director now, I even admire him more. So yeah, I mean, we had a great team. We had a good budget on Howard the Duck, but it was also like the infancy, really, of special effects, and as compared to nowadays. Like, the things they can do nowadays are just unbelievable. But one of the problems with nowadays is that they just rely on it so much instead of story and character, the special effects. And after a while, you just kind of get exhausted. I do. I personally get exhausted in these special effects movies. I get kind of sick of looking at it. I'd rather see the actors act, I remember telling Bob Zemeckis after doing Howard the Duck, when he was about to do Roger Rabbit, I remember telling him that it's really, really important to have really good actors reading the lines off screen, because it just, with all due respect, the puppeteers who were doing the lines for Howard the Duck were not very good actors. So it really made it hard to keep the scenes rolling. I mean, people keep wanting to underestimate the power of acting, and ultimately it's what people really react to, I think. And so nowadays, most of the time, I think with these movies with the people in the blue suit, they're smart. They get really good actors to do that. And so the other actors, it's a scene between two people, and if one of the people is dropping the ball during the game, it's a bad game. You need someone to throw the ball back and forth in a good way in order for the scene to work. I mean, you can do a lot with editing, but you can't do everything with editing. So I think and Bob Zemeckis listened to me. He got a really good actor to do the voice of Roger Rabbit, and it just made everything better. So I think that was one of the things that was hard about Howard the Duck. And
what about working with Ed Gale? He was actually in the suit. Did that help at all?
It helped, definitely. He was lovely and he's great, but he couldn't. Yeah, he was pantomiming, and they did the lines for the most part. And it was definitely better with him than it was with the other guy, Jordan, I think his name was, who was only 7 years old. So yeah, the love scene was, all that stuff, it was really difficult. Also, you just felt like you were torturing him, the suit was very uncomfortable, and Ed was so brave. But yes, the puppeteers would read the lines, and they were working these really weird mechanical things that moved the face. So definitely made for some kind of stiff acting on everybody's part, I think. It was a hard thing to overcome.
Not to just focus on the puppet, but you were also working with Tim Robbins and Jeffrey Jones. And what was your experience like with them?
Well, they are geniuses. So, yeah, all those scenes were really fun, and they were great. It's much funnier than me. So whenever there was a scene just like with us, that was always fun, because we could keep the ball going.
Now, in your recollection, was George Lucas very involved in the making of Howard, or was it more Willard Hike?
He was there. I mean, he was specifically there in certain instances where there was like a lot of tension. I remember specifically when I had to do all the singing in front of the big audience and also the little audience when I'm in that little cage place. He was there, and I guess those were expensive sequences, so he showed up, and he was lovely. You know, he was around. He's really good friends with Willard and Gloria, so my recollection was that he was around, but not all the time.
And talking about the singing, I heard you talk in Indiana about how you were, worried about being overdubbed, but you did get to do all the vocals there.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering how much you worked with Thomas Dolby and George Clinton with that song.
I worked with Thomas every weekend. We never got a day. I never got a day off. I was always learning how to play the guitar, recording, re-recording, rehearsing, the choreography. All that stuff took a long time, and they always kind of held it over me that in the end they might not let me sing, but I sang just fine. I didn't sing great, but I didn't sing badly. I sang just fine, and a lot of people like those songs. So I learned how to sing better much later in my career, like when I was like 38, 39. I started singing, and then I sang on Broadway, and I got a lot more confidence about it. I mean, I always knew I could carry a tune, but I didn't, have a lot of control over my voice. But now I'm really confident. I like to sing. And Thomas was really a champion. He was really happy with my singing. And it was a little intimidating because the other girls in my band two of the other girls in my band were like real singers. And so it was a little intimidating sometimes with them, but by the time I was done, I felt like a real singer.
Yeah, I mean, you did have to perform that in front of that huge audience, and I thought you sounded very good in it, so.
Yeah, the hard part was the choreography. Like, the guitar was really heavy, and I had to do the splits, and there was all this kind of choreography, so. And also, I really learned the guitar parts. I was really playing those guitar parts, not as well as the show, but as the person who actually recorded it, but I had to learn all of that, which, was interesting.
When you were working on the film with, having an anthropomorphized duck, which kind of aims younger, but he's working at bathhouses and such, did you ever think who the target audience for this was or who you were playing to?
Sure. That was one of, my first questions, which there was no answer. It's still not answered. I think one of the reasons that it's such a beloved movie to so many people who grew up watching it is that their parents didn't even notice what was going on. So, people had this weird glimpse into adultdom through this externally looking kid movie. Yeah, it was, I knew it was really subversive, which I kind of liked. I thought it was hilarious, and I think it's actually hilarious that people are disturbed about a girl having a relationship with a half-human duck. Like, really? Come on. That's not, gosh. It was,
Well, you say half-human duck, that reminded me Cronenberg's The Fly came out the same year.
Uh-huh.
Two totally different takes of half-human relationships there.
Yeah, really, he was an alien species. That's more the strangeness, that she was in love with an alien, but he seemed more like a human than a duck to me, the way he acted. But I still find it hilarious that people are scandalized. Even my children are scandalized by it. They've never even seen the whole movie. Once it gets to the love scene with the duck, they're like, we're over this. And I'm like, you guys, come on. You're actors. You're adults. You can watch the rest of this movie. You never even got to my big number at the end.
In that scene, I've always taken your performance, and I'm glad I finally get the chance to hear from you what you were thinking your character's motivation was there, but I always thought you were just kind of calling his bluff and teasing, and now I've heard some people take that scene so seriously, but I've always seen it as kind of joking. What was your thought of Beverly's motivation there?
Well, in the comic book, they're in a relationship, right?
Yeah.
I'm not wrong about that. They're in a full relationship, so I was teasing him for whatever, calling his bluff, which is supposed to be the comedy part about it. But, I mean, I took it that if there was a sequel, there were a couple. Like, that would be it. So, yeah. I mean, but anyway, it's so hilarious that people take it super seriously. I mean, it's like a silly movie. Like, really?
You talked about how hard the press was on this movie after it came out, but these days, it seems, especially with all the new Marvel movies, Howard is becoming fondly remembered and found late for what it was and being the first Marvel movie. When did you notice this change of tone towards it?
I noticed it after Howard was put into the Guardians of the Galaxy. It was like everybody was like, oh, okay, we can kind of come out of the closet and be like Howard the Duck fans. And I'm sure it takes Marvel people by surprise that there are so many Howard the Duck fans, but I'm absolutely certain that the DVD sells well because A, I've signed a lot of them, and B, they wouldn't have released it in Blu-ray, which I believe they did, if it wasn't selling, and they wanted to sell it again to people who'd already bought the VCR and bought the DVD. I mean, I have movies that I think are bigger hits that have never been released in Blu-ray or even DVD. So obviously, Universal's making money from Howard the Duck. They don't do it out of the goodness of their heart, especially a movie that's such a mega bomb for them, you know, in terms of publicity. But I think that also I think it was the Guardians of the Galaxy made people like kind of be able to admit that they liked the movie a lot. And a lot of people, I mean, I do a lot of Comic-Cons. I meet a lot of fans, and there are a lot of Howard the Duck fans all over the world.
Yeah, that cameo at the end of Guardians, that had to be because of your movie. I mean, they could have put any comic character in there, but there's a reason why you end with a stinger joke with the duck.
Yeah, I'll be really I'm really interested in it because I did meet Stan Lee, and he didn't know that I was the star of Howard the Duck somehow, and he started and it came up in conversation, and he was like not happy about the movie. Was the general feeling I got. So I'll be really interested in when. I don't think it's a when or if. I think it's when they make a Howard the Duck movie, whether they pay homage to the movie, to my Howard the Duck movie or not, or whether they try to pretend it didn't happen. I think it's going to be the former. I don't know, because people ask me that all the time. If there's a Howard the Duck movie, do you think you have a cameo? And I'm always like, only if someone as savvy as J.J. Abrams, because he's like so cool. Like, he's always like acknowledging the past when he goes into the future. Like, he's smart enough to want to drag the old fans into the new.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not snobby about that. But he would probably never do Howard the Duck. But somebody's going to do it. I know they will.
Yeah, I think James Gunn would do it if he would include those cameos. He's the one who did Guardians. He has that kind of sensibility.
Mm-hmm. Oh, my God, what a great movie that was. Guardians of the Galaxy. See, that was a movie that I thought that had a lot of special effects, but really relied on the actors and the characters, and didn't get, like, you know, they just go too long with those action sequences, and they lose me. But that was a beautifully executed special effects movie.
Now, recently you did Dancing with the Stars, and tremendous job on that, by the way.
Thank you.
You did the photo shoot with that classic Howard the Duck crew jacket.
Uh-huh.
Was that your original jacket?
Yes.
Do you still have any other items from the shoot?
I have all the costumes, almost all the costumes. I don't know where they are. My daughter stole one of the shirts, and I have all the costumes, shoes and everything, and the crew jacket.
So, having lived with Howard for over 30 years now, including the filming, what is your favorite enduring memory, or what you first think of when you look back?
I don't know. Maybe my relationship with Ed Gale. He was so sweet. He was such a trooper. For me, maybe that. He was so lovely, and I'd say that, probably.
Have you kept in contact with Ed at all?
A little bit, yeah. I think I get a Christmas card from him. Not too much. I always think I'll see him at a Comic-Con, but I don't, because he's done so many things. But that, and then my other thing is just how lovely the fans are, you know, and I feel like they're like, have been put upon. You know, I'm so, for some reason they're like my favorite fans because, it's taken such hard knocks, the movie. So in order to be a Howard the Duck fan, you have to be a die-hard Howard the Duck fan, and I love them for that.
And just to let people know what you're currently working on, you've been doing the Freeform series, Switched at Birth, and the final season of that starts in 2017?
Yes, in January. I think January 27th.
And what other projects do you have coming up where your fans can watch you?
Right now, my only... I directed a movie that my daughter Madeline wrote and starred in and did the score. She wrote the music for, and my daughter Zoe Deutsch is also in it along with myself, and it's called The Year of Spectacular Men. But I don't know when that's going to come out. So that's been a really, directing an independent movie is a very all-consuming task. So luckily I got to do that while I had my other job, Switched at Birth. But I'm not sure when that's going to come out. And I'm also directing The Goldbergs. So I'm doing a lot of directing right now. But hopefully somebody will give me another acting job soon. They usually do. It doesn't take long.
Oh, The Goldbergs is a great show, so...
I know. I'm really excited to direct it. It'll be my first job directing where I'm not in it. I've directed some TV movies, the Jane Doe movies, and Switched at Birth, and now my movie, and every one of those I've been in. So this will be my first real directing gig, that I'm not hired for as an actor, and so I'm excited about that. So right now is like the first time that I'm been completely open for a long time. So anybody out there who hears this want to give me a job, that's good.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time today. It's been great talking to you.
Thank you. I hope I didn't sound too negative about Howard the Duck. I love the movie, and I love the fans, and I'm really, really glad that I did it. And I thought it was a really, really fun to be a rock star in love with the duck. Thank you so much. Nice to talk to you.
Well, that is our show for this week. We hope you've enjoyed this look back at Howard. I know I have. This is my favorite show of this year.
I'm just happy that we've done it already. Now I can stop getting all these alerts that we're going to do a Marvelicious Toys.
Turns out somehow I sent you an alert or put a calendar invite on without realizing it was set up for daily reminders starting 30 days in advance.
Like at 11:30 at night. Every day at Comic-Con we were getting Marvelicious alerts. But no, this is fun, and I know this is kind of your baby, Arnie, and I know it's easy to poke fun at a lot of this stuff, but at the end of the day, I really do think it's cool that you are one of the curators of the Howard the Duck props and movie stuff. Like, that's cool.
Thank you.
I really do dig that.
Well, honestly, my love for this all began, I'd always loved the movie, but it was when Now Playing reviewed this in our lead up to the Avengers back in 2011, and you can find that review at nowplayingpodcast.com, and it's to this day my favorite Now Playing episode ever. We laughed so hard. We go 2 hours. I'm defending the movie, but that's when I realized that this was special to me. And that was 5 years ago now.
And you really always loved the movie. It's always been Arnie loves Howard the Duck. And I think that it's almost like a whole new world opened up for you. And you're like, oh my God, I can buy all this stuff.
Yeah, you own duck boobs and a duck animatronic from the movie, which is creepy.
And a duck nipple. Don't forget the nipple.
A single nipple. You still have to track down that other nipple at some point.
Yep.
And a couple different latex heads and the feet, and yeah, it's become...
Oh, and the creepy life mask. I can't forget about that. The Jeffrey life mask.
Yes, that is insane.
But that does end this show. So until next time, this egg is cracked.
Beat it! Leave me alone.
That's the way you want it. Then so long, Ducky.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Marvelicious Toys.
I feel much better.
There's even more Marvelicious content at our website, marvelicioustoys.com.
Wow, that sounds great.
At the site, you can see pictures of the products we discussed, find checklists for Marvel toys, talk and trade toys in the Marvelicious forums, and much more.
It lies beyond the planets. It is a region of demons, to which we dark overlords were exiled eons ago.
I hope you're getting all this.
It's all at MarveliciousToys.com.
Maybe you're just the kind of bizarro influence we need.
Marvelicious Toys is a fan-run show that relies on listener support to keep the show going.
I'm not in a real good mood tonight, Ginger. I want the money.
You can pledge to our Podbean fundraising campaign by going to marveliciousttoys.com/support. Backers get rewards including exclusive video content, early show releases, and more.
The money.
Sure, here, take the money. Take it, it's yours, take it.
You can also help out our show by telling your friends to listen by posting on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or in person. We would also greatly appreciate a 5-star written review on iTunes.
Mr. Duck, you're wonderful.
A link to our iTunes feed is at marvelicioustoys.com.
Okay. Let's go for it, Mr. Macho.
We want your feedback on Marvelicious Toys. You can email us at show@marvelicioustoys.com or post your thoughts in our forums.
Huh?
You got someplace to go?
Hey, if I had someplace to go, I certainly wouldn't be in Cleveland.
You can also find Marvelicious Toys on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Find all those links at marvelicioustoys.com.
They get the point, Jennings!
We want to hear your thoughts on Marvel collectibles. You can leave reports of your latest toy finds as well as product reviews by emailing an MP3 or iPhone voice memo to show@marvelicioustoys.com. All content received is subject for use on the show.
Are we like all in the same discussion here?
If you also like Star Wars collecting is covered at our other podcast, Star Wars Action News, which you can find at swactionnews.com.
The cosmos. Countless worlds upon worlds. Worlds without end. In these galaxies, every possible reality exists. And what is reality on any one world is mere fantasy on all others.
Marvelicious Toys is produced and edited by Arnie Carvalho.
No sex now, I'm working.
Video editing by Barrett, Andrew, and Daryl.
Desperate ducks commit desperate acts.
Website design by Jason.
I've got a headache.
And I got the aspirin.
Be gentle.
Graphic design by Justin.
It's not nice to fool with the Dark Overlord.
Photo editing by Jeff, Scott, and Curtis.
This is why I hate the night shift.
Announcements by Brock.
Well, sex appeal. Some guys got it, and some guys don't.
Howard.
If you want to hear reviews of every movie ever based on Marvel Comics, check out those reviews and hundreds more on the Now Playing Podcast at nowplayingpodcast.com.
Oh, look, Ginger, I warned you when you got into rock management, you'll be dealing with the entertainment types,
Marvel Comics and all that the Marvel Multiverse contains are the intellectual property of Marvel Entertainment Incorporated, a subsidiary of the Walt Disney Company, and no infringement is intended.
I want to see your license, Jack.
I have no license. I am not Jack.
Marvelicious Toys is a Venganza Media production, copyright 2016, all rights reserved, and no part of this show may be reproduced, repurposed, or redistributed without the written permission of Venganza Media Incorporated.
That's it. No more Mr. Nice Duck. Not bad for a duck from outer space.
You were great, Ducky.
I mean, it makes as much sense as when Leisure Suit Larry went to a volcanic island, right?
Sure.
Is that a crossover?
There really should be as the two of them out cruising for chicks. Oh my god, that's a pun.
And it won't be the last one tonight, folks. It might be the first unintentional.